A big part of staying shredded year-round without counting calories, without going hungry, is finding lean protein that you love to eat. A lot of people don't realize this, but shrimp is almost pure protein. And when I make my tacos, I stuff as many shrimp on them as I can to shift the macronutrient balance to be as protein dominant as possible. So when I eat them, I get fuller faster than if I ate shrimp tacos at a restaurant. So I will tell you how Chef Alex makes his amazing garlic shrimp tacos. We just need a few ingredients that are accessible from our local supermarket. Being in Texas, we got them from H-E-B. I'll show you how. All you need are some tortillas. We prefer them raw. You can get corn, you can get flour. We're using flour today. Obviously, we need some shrimp. We got those from Costco. Got an onion, got some chopped garlic, got some salt, butter, and of course, we got the serrano peppers. I'll show you the haul that we got. We were trying to film this at H-E-B, but they shut us down. Green ones.
How you doing?
Just for good measure.
We can't film in the store.
Oh, mid-shot, we had amazing serrano peppers. We'll probably show you a little bit of the B-roll. Then they just tapped us on the shoulder and said, no, you got to get permission. We don't ask for permission. We just ask for forgiveness. Didn't work out so well. So I have found with the serrano peppers, the more they look like fire, the more they taste like fire. So this is going to be spicy, and these are going to be insanely spicy. We'll eat a few of them after we wash them, and we'll show you how to do it. I never knew that you're supposed to wash serrano peppers before you ate them until I started living with my girlfriend. Apparently this is a thing. Apparently she works in the oil and gas industry, and apparently a lot of vegetables are coated with some sort of petroleum product, which is probably why the frogs are turning gay. So before we ingest those, we're going to put a little bit of non-toxic veggie wash into a cup. We're going to add some water to that cup and let these soak for about 30 seconds per side. After about 30 seconds in the veggie wash, we're going to rinse off whatever oil, petroleum residue was on the serrano peppers. Should be good to go. First thing we're going to start with is the thing that always takes the longest, which is cooking the onions. In order to do that, we are going to turn the flame high. We are going to put some butter on, probably 1.5 tablespoons. As that butter melts, we're going to chop up about 40% of an onion. 40% of an onion should be good enough for about 3 tacos. So we're going to chop. As the butter melts on the plate, we're going to discard the outside of the onion because we don't want to be eating paper. We want to be eating onion when this gets nice and caramelized. So we're going to toss this portion. And then we're not going to dice this into cubes like I've done with other onions, like in Chef Alex Ragu. We're just going to slice it a few times vertically. That's all she wrote. Now that we can see the butter is turning brown, we're going to use the knife, which doubles as a spatula. Didn't you know? We'll put those on. As the onions cook, every 30 seconds or so, we're going to want to give them a stir. But that doesn't mean that we're too busy to add salt. Probably, we got about 20 shrimp here, and that was a little bit too much salt, but we're probably going to add about 2 tablespoons of total salt to 20 shrimp. Don't worry about over-salting them because they're going to be one of the saltiest things in the taco, and it's okay if they're a little bit too salty because the rest of the taco won't be that salty. That's the secret. Isn't it great that we can liberally waste salt in the US? They used to pay soldiers in salt in the Roman army. That's like He's worth his salt, right? Salt used to be rare. Salt used to, and still does, help keep meat fresh for a long period of time, or help keep meat edible. Salt still helps keep meat edible, and salt historically has kept meat edible, which is why salt was very valuable historically, because you had to go to like the sea to get it. You couldn't just go to the HEB. All right, now that this has been about 30 seconds, we're going to give it a little bit of a stir. And now that we're seeing this, the edges of the onions start to cook, we're going to move this to the low flame while we move the Hexclad to the hot flame. We don't want to cook too much seafood on the cast iron because I don't like cleaning the cast iron, and the more we put seafood on there, the more we feel like we got to clean it. And so that's why we prefer to cook our seafood on the Hexclad. So we just put another tablespoon, maybe tablespoon and a quarter of butter on there. We got our diced garlic, which we're going to open up, but we're not going to put on just yet. And then on this flame, on the bottom, we got our skillet pan. That's going to take the longest to heat up because that flame is the weakest. But we're going to put another tablespoon or so of butter on that skillet. And we're going to keep our raw tortillas ready to be deployed, 3 of them. Again, every 30 seconds or so, we're going to want to give these caramelizing onions a stir. Now we've rotated all the pans to put the onions, which are about to be done, on the weakest flame. Mid-flame is the skillet, which is going to cook the tortillas. And now that the butter is browned, we are ready to start throwing the shrimp on. You should probably be wearing a shirt. Chef Alex isn't, because he's got some recipe books to sell. Be careful out there. Chef Alex has been burned before, literally and figuratively. Now, one of the things that you're going to notice is the more shrimp you throw on the skillet or the pan, the harder it is to keep a sear. This is about the maximum amount of shrimp that the pan can tolerate while still maintaining a sear. All right, now that the liquid butter is spreading around flat skillet, we're going to just spread this with a spatula. And then we're going to put our raw tortillas on. We're going to put those on one at a time because we got time. And while we do that, we're going to chop our serrano peppers. We can see the liquid coming up to the surface on some of these shrimp, so they can be flipped. Okay, now these are all ready to be flipped. And what we're going to do when we flip the shrimp, that's when we're going to start adding the garlic, because if we add it before then, it's going to get cooked excessively. We can put garlic on liberally because garlic tastes great. Hard to put too much garlic. You'll have to do it to know what's too much. If you've never put too much garlic on your food, you actually have not put enough garlic on your food. You need to break the rules and use too much to know what the right amount is, because it's a lot more than you think. Okay, now that we see the bubbles coming up, we'd like to see the bubbles come a little bit more uniformly, and the reason why they haven't was because this skillet was off to the side of the flame. And so we're going to wait for these bubbles to come up a little bit more uniformly. Okay, now we're going to flip this. Now the second side of the shrimp does not need to be cooked as long as the first side. Once we start to see the browning of the corners of the garlic, we're going to just give this a nice little stir. We're going to move this off the flame. And we're going to start loading our tacos as the tortillas cook. We've got our nice fancy Mexican plate. We're going to let this cook a little bit more. We like to get a little bit of brown. Some people like cooking this more than me. I like the chewy, raw taste of the flour tortillas. That is about 10 seconds away from perfection. All right, we're going to take this off. We're going to load our next tortilla on there. We're going to do the same thing as we did with the first one. Going to cover one side with butter, spin it all around, cover the second side with butter as well, and leave it in the center of the flame. As we do that, we're going to take the shrimp, move this over so you guys can see, start putting the garlic shrimp on the taco as much as possible. Oops. Sometimes Chef Alex makes mistakes, but he never misses. No, never misses. All right, that's about as many shrimp as we're going to want to load onto one taco. Throw a little bit of serrano peppers on there. Multicolor, because we celebrate diversity. That's going to be spicy. Then we're going to take a little bit of onions. I'm going to throw these onions onto the side. Chef Alex is calling an audible because he wants these tacos to be protein dominant. We actually don't need our third tortilla. We're going to use all of the shrimp on 2 tortillas worth of tacos. And if we look at the macros, we're not strict macro trackers, but we like to be aware of it. So each tortilla has 16 grams of carbs and 2 grams of protein according to the label. So this whole meal is going to have about 32 grams of protein, maybe a couple more for the onions, maybe 35 grams of protein. And then between the shrimp and the tortillas, we're going to have about 32 to 35 grams of carbs. This whole meal is going to have about 32 to 35 grams of carbs between the caramelized onions and the tortilla. And it is going to have about 40 grams of protein between the shrimp and the tortillas. And we are not strict macro trackers, eating very restrictively, but we like to know what we are eating. And what we are eating is protein dominant real food. Don't be alarmed if this raw tortilla bubbles up on you. That's what they do. They're raw. Let this cook for about 12 more seconds. That's what we like on both sides. Let's see how we did. That's garlicky goodness. My mouth is on fire because Chef Alex doesn't miss. Whew.